Hi, welcome to your 8-2 flip video. 8-2 is called Writing Two-Step Equations, and 8-3 will actually be how to solve two-step equations. So it's not even expected that you know how to solve these. We're kind of previewing that information, but right now it's just taking the words and changing those words into an equation. So on Schoology, I uploaded this. This is a part of a file I uploaded on Schoology called Review Words to Math Reading. And we're just going to break this down really quick. So it's broken into 5 categories plus addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and equals. And they're just different terminologies that you might see that would represent each one of those math symbols. So for the so I'll just throw up some numbers here, and we'll change those into some expressions. And so notice that this is called equations, writing two-steps equations. We're just going to make expressions right now, and then we'll worry about setting up the equation side a little bit later on. Because right now, I want to make sure that we are focused on how to change the words into symbols, and then we can start worrying about more complex versions. So that first one, I'm going to go through plus and multiplication pretty quickly since order doesn't matter in addition and multiplication, right? 2 times 3 is the same thing as 3 times 2, and 1 plus 2 is the same thing as 2 plus 1. Order doesn't matter. That's called the commutative property. So I'm just going to kind of breeze right through this. So I put up all those numbers. 6 plus 3, sum of 2 and 3 is 2 plus 3, 9 added to 7, and so this one is kind of like 9 added to 7. You start with 7 and then you add 9 to that number. 9 added to 7. But again, order doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter if you write 7 plus 9 or 9 plus 7. 3 more than 10, 10 plus 3, 7 increased by 2, 7 plus 2, and then 4 greater than 3. So remember this example because when we get to the next page, is greater than means something different than greater than. So right now when you see greater than, you can think addition. All right. So order doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you do the first number or the second number first because addition, the same thing. It's all the same regardless of the order. All right. So in the subtraction category, you'll notice 2 are italicized, subtracted from and less than, and that's because these are kind of the tricky ones where the order is flip-flopped. And when we get to the next page, we'll look at that a little bit more in detail. So I'll just throw up some numbers really quick. 8 minus 2, difference of 3 and 1, 1 subtracted from 2, 3 less than 10, 12 decreased by 1. And then let's change these to math symbols. So 8 minus 2, you just go from left to right, like reading a book. 8's on the left, minus 2. So 8 minus 2, 8 subtract 2. Difference of 3 and 1, 3 comes first, so 3 minus 1. Now, remember, these are the italicized. 1 subtracted from 2. So you're subtracting 1 from 2. There's another way you could say that, subtracting 1 from 2. So you're starting with 2, and then you're taking away 1, so it's 2 minus 1. 3 less than 10, you have 10, and then you're taking away 3 from that 10. It's 3 less than what you started from, which was 10. So it's 10 minus 3. All right, 12 decreased by 1, 12 minus 1. All right, so when you're doing the subtraction, you just have to keep an eye out for subtracted from and less than because those two, the order is flip-flop. For all the other ones, it's left to right. No, the first number, if you're reading it just regularly, the first number is the one that's more on the left, and then the second number is the one more on the right. All right. Multiplication, times, product of, multiply by, twice, double, triple. I'm also going to throw in quadruple here. Oh, I forgot to highlight those. All right, so I'll throw in some numbers here. When you say twice, the phrase is really twice the value of, so like twice the value of 7 or twice the value of 10. And then I threw quadrupled up here because that's really the only other one that you use a fancy name after quadruple. That's multiply by 5, which is quintuple, but most people don't say that. You just say multiply by 5. So at this point, we can change these into math symbols. Again, multiplication, the order doesn't matter, so you can kind of just I don't want to say the order doesn't matter, but it's not going to change the problem by doing one number in front of the other. So we're just going to go left to right for all of these. So 1 times 6, 1 times 6, 4 and 3, 4 times 3, 4 multiplied by 2, 4 times 2. Twice means times 2, so 2 times 7 in this case. Doubled means times 2, tripled means times 3. For all of these, double, triple, quadruple, let's use the number 9. So times 2 is doubled, times 3 is tripled, quadrupled times 4, and then that's it. All right, so again, the order doesn't matter on these guys because multiplication order doesn't matter. Now, division is just like subtraction, where division, the order does matter. So for all of these, we're going left to right. The number on the left divided by the number on the right. All right, so let's throw some numbers on here. And I'm kind of running out of room, so I'm going to have to do this step below. So 4 divided by 2, 4 divided by 2. Quotient is the answer to a division problem, so the quotient of 8 and 2 is 8 divided by 2. 5 over 3 is a fraction, and we know that the numerator over the denominator means the numerator divided by the denominator, right? 1 over 2 means 1 divided by 2. So 5 divided by 5 over 3 means 5 divided by 3. This next one, 2 per every 10. That means it's this. I know it seems weird. 2 per every 10. That almost wants to say for every 10 you have 2, so you cut that in groups of 2. But it's still left to right. So 2 per 10 means 2 divided by 10, which is 1 over 5. 50 into 2, and then typically it says groups or categories after this, so 50 divided by 2, or 5 divided by 2, excuse me. Ratio of 5 to 1, so remember a fraction can also be written as a ratio. A ratio is just a fancy fraction problem, so the ratio of 5 and 1 is 5 divided by 1. This last category, equals, I'm not going to do problems because there's nothing to set up, it's just equals a number. So that's pretty quick there. Next page. So this is really some important information. I've already referenced some of it. You'll notice that I've already highlighted less than and subtracted them. So when you have these two, the order changes. A number less than 5, here, a number less than 5, you have 5, and then it's that number, which we can represent with a variable, let's say n, that number less than what you started from. So you have 5, and then you're taking away some number, 5 minus n, right? 10 subtracted from a number, same rationale. You have a number, and then you're taking 10 away from it. So for less than and subtracted from, the order is flip-flopped. It's not left to right anymore. It's right to left. All right. They didn't add the word total to the addition column, which is kind of weird. Total means add up all the values, and you already know this. Total of 10, 20, and the number is 60. Well, 10 plus 20 plus n for a number is equal to 60. So total means add up all of the values included, and then that is what you're setting it equal to. All right, this last part we're going to go through quickly. The phrase greater than differs from the phrase is greater than. So where you see greater than, that represents adding some values together. The phrase is greater than represents an inequality. So the inequality greater than. So the word is fundamentally changes this. So 6 greater than 5 means 6 plus 5. If your answer is 5 greater than the 6 that you started with. 12 greater than 7 is 12 plus 7 because your answer would be 7 greater than the 12 that you started with. All right, but as opposed to a number is greater than 4 would mean a number, let's represent with the variable x, is bigger than 4, and you represent with that with the equality, the greater than symbol. 12 is greater than 10, so 12, I'll write this one out, 12 is greater than 10. 12 is greater than 10 means the inequality 12 is bigger than 10. All right, so just the main things that I want you to pull away from this page is less than and subtracted from are the two exceptions to our rules of the order of left to right. They're flip-flop. Less than and subtracted from are flip-flopped. And then total means add up all the pieces. And then there's a difference between greater than and is greater than. You can kind of remember is greater than is an inequality, because an inequality, when we get to 8.4, we'll talk about this. Inequalities are similar to equations. So the word is means equals. So it's kind of like a prefacing to the inequalities phase that we'll talk about. All right. Let's practice a couple. Write an expression that means 8 less than the product of 7 and x. So 8 is a number. So that would just be 8, and then less than, I'm going to do that in squiggly underline to remind us that this is one of those examples where the order is flip-flopped. And then let's break down the rest of it. Product means multiplication. And then what is being multiplied? Well, 7 and x are being multiplied. I'll connect them with a line to show that. All right. So it's 8 less than the product. So we're going to take 8 away from whatever that product is. Now, what is that product? It's 7 and x, so 7x. You could also throw a parenthesis around this, but you don't really need to. Second example, the sum of 6 and the product of 3 and d. So sum means addition, and we're going to add 6 with the product means multiplication, of 3 and d. So the two numbers that are being multiplied together are 3 and d, which means 3d. So I'm going to add 6 to the product of 3 and d. So 6 plus 3d. Again, you don't need those parentheses, but you can put them on there. All right? An elephant is, now let's start breaking down some word problems, because this is really the heart of A2. An elephant is twice the length of a lion and a hippo. If a lion is 7 meters long and a hippo is 2 meters long, how long is an elephant? I'm going to be honest with you, I made up these numbers. I don't know if any of that's true. Probably not. But let's break this down. So, the word twice, if you remember from that first page, twice means multiplied by 2. Now, sorry, I spelled length wrong. It's twice the length of a lion and a hippo. Well, the length of a lion and the length of a hippo, you can think of this kind of as the total length of a lion and a hippo. We're going to add those pieces together. So let's set up an equation. Let's use E for elephant. And then also important information, lion is 2 meters long, hippo is 2 meters long, 7 meters and 2 meters, lion and hippo respectively. Again, I don't know if those are true. So let's set up an equation. Let's use E for elephant. Now, an elephant is twice the total length of a lion and a hippo. So I'm going to add the lion and the hippo together, and I'm going to then take their sum and multiply by 2. So I'm going to put lion and hippo in parentheses to show that I'm going to add their lengths together and then multiply by 2. So once I have my equation, I can plug in the information I know. I know a lion is 7, so the L is replaced with 7, and a hippo is 2, so H is replaced by 2. And now it's just an order of operations problem. E equals 2 times the quantity 7 plus 2. Well, what's 7 plus 2? 9. So E equals 2 times 9. So elephant is 18 meters long. All right. You and 10 friends go out to dinner. You split the bill evenly. The bill was $215.93. Write an equation to see how much each person pays. Solve and check your answer. All right, so let's break down the important information. Well, you and 10 friends. So how many total people went out to dinner? Well, you and your 10 friends. So 11 total people went out to dinner because it's you plus your 10 friends. You split the bill evenly, which is important information. When you split something up into even categories, that's division. The bill was $215.93. So my total will be my $215.93 equals my 11 people who went out to dinner, and let's say C is the amount each person pays, or the cost for each person, because if each person is going to contribute the same amount, I'm going to take each person's contribution and add them all together. So person 1 would contribute 1 C, another person would contribute another C. So you would do this 4, 5, you would do this 11 times. So if you had 11 sets of C's, C plus C plus C 11 times, that's the same thing as 11 times C, because multiplication is just repeated addition. All right, you'll notice that I mentioned that when you split something up evenly, that's division, and the division you're going to see in a second. You have to think about a problem conceptually. It wouldn't make sense to do 11 divided by C, because that would be your number of people divided by the cost per person, which doesn't make sense. So where does the division come in? Well, if you solve for C, how do you get C by itself? You're going to divide both sides by 11, because 11C means the same thing as 11 times C. Divide, the 11s cancel each other out, so you get 215.93 divided by 11, which is 19.63 equals C, so C equals 19.63. How do you check that? Well, you plug it back in, so 11 times 19.63, which is 215.93, is 215.93 equal to 215.93. Yep, so you got it right. A common variation on this problem is where you won't be given the bill total, you'll be given how much each person pays, and then they ask you to find an equation which represents the total amount which was paid. So you and two friends go out to dinner, you each pay $14.25. If B represents the bill in dollars, what equation represents this situation? So you and two friends, so 3 total people went out to dinner, you each paid $14.25. So you paid $14.25, your friend paid $14.25, your other friend paid $14.25. It's 3 times the $14.25 per person, and let's use B. The B represents the bill in dollars, so if we multiply each person's cost by the number of people, we get my total bill. So 3 times 14.25 gives us $42.75, so the total bill was $42.75. Now the variation of this variation that you might also see is you each also leave a $3 tip. And if B represents the total amount paid, what's the equation to represent this scenario? Well, you still each pay your 3 times $14.25, but now you're also all 3 of you leaving a $3 tip. So this $3 from you, $3 from a friend, $3 from your other friend, 3 times 3, 3 sets of 3, and that's still equal to B. So 14.25 plus times 3 plus 3 times 3 gives you $42.75 plus $9 in tip. So total amount of money you left on the table, $51.75. All right, so that's two pretty common variations you'll see on this problem. But that's it for A2. It's really changing symbols to, or words to symbols, and setting up equations and getting ready to solve them. Let me know if you have any questions.